Hangout on air is live with 0 viewers. Thank you for coming. Myself. Trying to get Matt in the loop here. Love technology. Invite people. Excited to be chatting with some video peeps today, talking about what makes you unique and why people would hire you. I have one viewer. Is that Matt or is that somebody else? Matt Davis joined the group.
What up?
Hey, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Let me change it to my microphone.
Okay.
Testing. How's that sound?
Oh, it sounds great.
Cool.
Too bad I don't have my microphone. Man, you sound amazing. Turn your camera on.
Oh, just eyesight. Do I need earphones? Do I need my headphones?
No, it sounds fine.
Okay.
So the only thing that could go crazy here, I don't know why it let you.
You froze. I don't hear you anymore. Oh, you're frozen. You there? Ryan? Testing 1 2, testing. I'm gonna eat this cheese pizza on the broadcast. On the live broadcast right now. You're frozen, Ryan. I'm on Ethernet.
Okay, I'm back. I am not on Ethernet.
Oh, okay.
But I see you now. Looking good.
Are we just live with us, or is anyone else hanging out with us?
Totally live, and it says one viewer here on the bottom. Can you see that?
No, I need to add the dashboard on the side. Where did it go? I don't see it.
If you click that button again, it might pop up.
Chat. There's the chat. Group chat. I got that now. I don't see the group.
Control room. Bad.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have a list of people, but I think if people,
I think as long as you keep the group chat open.
Yeah.
Testing yo-yo, then that will work. I don't know why, but your screen is like, I see you, but it's not coming through. Go ahead and talk for a few seconds.
All right. Exciting day. Penelope graduated first grade and
oh yeah,
on to second grade. So she had a half day of school today. So I was rushing to get here, and I'm glad because after this, we're going to the water park.
Oh man.
Yeah. My mom is in town, so she's gonna be making dinner.
Awesome.
Yeah. Is it the wrong camera that's on me, or
no? It looks like it's switching over. Somebody just joined the chat. Can you say hi, whoever's in the chat, and let us know if you can hear Matt and if you can also hear me, Ryan. Talk for another few seconds so your camera.
Right. Okay. Then tomorrow, guess what I'm doing?
Shooting a wedding?
No, I don't have a wedding.
Oh.
Gonna be on the boat with some friends on the Intercoastal Waterway.
Oh yeah, baby.
It's gonna be like 100 degrees here with the heat index.
Woo.
Yeah. So good thing there's some water around us.
So you might go swimming, is what you're saying.
Yeah, but actually where we're going, it's kind of a tease because we're going to Masonboro Island. But if you jump out, like the way the waterway goes, you could just get sucked out to sea. So
Eesh.
You got to hold on to the boat if you're going to get wet.
Thanks.
So like, when you get in the water and you pee and stuff, everyone's got to hold on. There's like a rope. But I'm excited about it. It'll be like the first boat weekend with all this crowd?
Cool. The first of many.
What are you gonna do?
I am filming Calvin Johnson's wedding.
Oh, that's right.
That's tomorrow.
Where's it gonna be?
I cannot say. It's going to be on Earth.
Oh, right, because we're on a live broadcast. Calvin, come here for a second.
Yeah.
So, okay.
All right, I'm just posting on the Facebook page that we're live, and then we can
hang out if we want. I mean, we can.
Yeah. I think people will be able to watch this, so we might as well talk amongst ourselves, if nothing else, so people will be able to watch the replay.
Do we have any questions? I don't think I saw any pre questions like before anything came in.
I did not see anything. I hope that I was looking in the right spot. So yeah.
Did you see that our friend Jessica, who did the course a couple weeks ago, wants to do a testimonial for us?
No.
Yeah. So she says, I'm a little camera shy, but I'd love to do that for you guys.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah, she said that they just launched their business or something like that. Or they're pushing hard on the corporate stuff, just starting to, or something like that. So, yeah, it's exciting. It's an exciting time, and for them.
When I was up in Philadelphia doing the sales workshop, there was two people. Vito. She was a girl. That's her last name, Vito. What's her name? Oh, Nori. She's Italian. She had just started her business like a week before she signed up to come to the sales workshop. And then another guy, Greg, he had just started too, maybe like a couple months. And they both came up afterwards and are like, man, this is great, because I had no idea that I had to learn how to do all this stuff, even though I know how to use a camera. I was like, yeah, I would have never had the guts to sign up for something like that. Like, rather, I would have thought, I remember when I first started, I was kind of cocky and I was like, I got this. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I shared that story about when I went to the John Goolsby workshop. I kind of felt the opposite. I was like, I don't know anything. I need to learn as much as I can. So we've got some people online. Thanks for joining us. My name is Ryan Koral, and with me, as always, not as always, why don't you introduce yourself there, Matt?
Matt Davis here, Wilmington, North Carolina, other co-Sherpa for you guys. And I am glad that I'm inside, because it's like 100 degrees here today, and it's going to be 100 degrees tomorrow. So living at the beach has its downside as well. So
yeah,
looking forward to hanging out today. And it's just kind of a wrap session.
Yep. Yeah, it's just, we kind of positioned this in the email blast that we had sent out, that just an experiment. We just wanted to see like who's not doing anything at 1 o'clock on a Friday afternoon that would want to hang out for a little bit and chit chat. So feel free to submit some questions there. Let us know who you are and where you're from. We'd love to know who's joining us. I cannot figure out if there's a button here for me to see. I just see that there are people here, but there are no names popping up. So there's a little chat bar. I don't know how you're seeing this. It's here when I'm looking at my screen, but maybe it's here as you're looking at me point. So it's either here or there. But yeah, so topic today is why would somebody hire your company? Why would somebody hire you versus the company down the street? And you hear the term USP, unique selling proposition. Yeah. Your USP. What's your USP? What makes you different? And a lot of times, if you go to networking meetings or somebody calls you and is trying to get quotes from different companies, a lot of times what people might be doing is just price shopping and trying to find the cheapest company out there. But when you can differentiate yourself and kind of say, like, here's why you're worth hiring, and not just because maybe you're less expensive or you have Canon C100 Mark II instead of the Mark I, that these are some of the things that as business owners, as you look to grow your business and to get more of the kind of work that you want to do, these are the kind of questions that you should have answers to, and they shouldn't all be gear related. So that's what we want to talk about. So if you got any specific questions about that, feel free to, like I said, enter them into the chat. We'd love to know who's on with us and where you're from, and maybe what company you own or where you work. So
I think for me, Ryan, like even 7-8 years ago, when I was, kind of, you have to spend a couple years in business kind of hoping and waiting that it's going to be successful. And once it happens, you start learning about USPs, unique selling propositions. And 8 years ago, it was kind of gear related. I was like, yeah, I can do this, and this is why I'm different. But in this day, like, everything's changing so fast. If you're just starting out, or if you've been in business for 10 years, you cannot base it on gear, because gear, I mean, everyone's got it. Everyone's got the same cameras. Everyone's got the same sliders and Ronins and drones. And so it's increasingly important to know why you're doing what you're doing, because that'll kind of help guide you to knowing why you're unique, or why you do what you do and why you're unique, because it can't be based on the work. Because I tell people this all the time. I'm like, yeah, they got the cameras are great. That's, the work looks crisp, like really, really beautiful work, but so what? Like, what's the purpose behind it? And so that's one of the questions that I think we've had to, as a team here at Life Stage and Harvest. We're constantly changing our USP, because it's homework. It's like a workout. You're always evolving as filmmakers and as a business. So I remember writing down mine, and I bet you if I go back and look at it, it'd make me laugh, 20 years ago, because it should be constantly like changing, because the market's always changing.
Well, that's an interesting point. It's kind of opposite, of what I was going to say. You were bringing up gear, and you're talking about gear, and one of the things, like, in so many forums and places over the past 12 years of doing this, one of the first questions, like, if you ever are at a presentation and somebody shows their work, one of the first questions is, what does Matt just see? What do people ask?
What'd you shoot on?
Yeah, right. What camera are you using? And somebody brought this up. I can't remember who just recently, but one of the other questions used to be, it's not anymore, what did you edit that on? Like, what are you editing in? But I think that question just doesn't really, it's not really relevant today. So, and that's the thing, like, 10 years ago, cameras were different. 8 years ago, cameras were totally different. 6, 5, last year, the gear just becomes irrelevant after so long. And, kind of we're in the middle of, like, people transitioning to 4K, and so many clients don't need that. It's nice, if you can shoot in 4K, but, pretty much everybody's shooting in HD. So, and people either have DSLRs or they have, like, cool cinema cameras or whatever, but, so that makes you all the same. That makes us all the same, right? The gear, it's kind of all the same. And maybe people have, like, a little bit cooler lights, or maybe somebody shooting on a red versus a DSLR or whatever. But at the end of the day, the shots look pretty similar-ish. From an outsider's perspective, from somebody that's not on Vimeo looking at the latest and greatest, coolest DPs and filmmakers and whatever. And so it really begs the question for us to be able to present ourselves in a way. So I was, as I was kind of brainstorming USP, like, I was thinking more along the lines of, like, this is who you are, right? This is your brand, and this is the thing that defines the way that you work and why you work, and that changes. So, to your point, I think you're right. If you looked at what your USP was, 10 years ago, it's different today, because I think, part of your motivation has changed, or, who you are as a person is different today than 10 years ago. So there are things that, shift and change within us that probably make our USP different. I think at the core, our USP, especially when we have smaller, creative studios, is more about, who we are and our purpose and our own why. A USP, I think, probably, and I'd be curious to know what you say about this, but it could be somewhat like I don't want to say gear related. I guess I'm more thinking like the way that the stories that you go after, the things that get you excited. So like, somebody asked me what my USP was. One of the things that I might say is like, we love finding stories that matter, or we love finding stories in helping them helping find meaning in stories. That could be a USP. I'm talking for a long time. What do you have any thoughts?
Well,
I'm rambling right now.
No, the reason I totally agree with you. And that's not what I meant. Like, because at the core, your identity, you need to figure out why you're in business to begin with. And we talked about that in our course a lot. And we've teamed up, and our buddy, Patrick with Muse. I mean, we kind of have the same pillars. Like we've teamed up with that, and we preach the same thing, because it's so important to have a core identity on why you even put a camera in your hand to begin with. Like, what are you doing? Like, you can't just go out and, gosh, I remember when I first started shooting, I was like, I'm just shooting everything, because I figure if I get as many shots as I can come up with something. I can just throw something together. But when you shoot with a purpose, when you edit with a purpose, when you sell with a purpose, when you create a team with a purpose, everything kind of becomes part of your USP, and that never changes. And mine's probably the same as yours, and to the point of, it's kind of a question and answer session today, but I mean, we did have a topic, that we wanted to kind of cover, and that's, what makes you different than the other guy down the street? Why are you? We came up with this, I think, because from our past webinar, we had a bunch of questions like, well, how do you, what about, pricing and competition and this and that, and how do you get these high prices when everyone's kind of charging this much? And to be perfectly blunt, what makes you unique is you. And I think as artists, we take that out. We're scared to be salespeople, and scared to be honest with people and ask tough questions about the clients that are approaching us. And I think instead we just throw up a bunch of pretty work on a site, and we think that that's going to make us different and get the big bucks, when they want to know you. They want to know what, there's a pain that they have, and they want to know, can you help me? And we're losing that connection, because a lot of us are terrified to even approach agencies or talk on the phone. We'll just kind of send some price sheets this way and say, hey, look at my pretty work. And so we had a lot of that on the last webinar. We had a lot of people kind of raising their hands saying, gosh, I'm guilty about that. So that's kind of why we wanted to do this today. Just to answer questions about that, because everyone deals with it. I mean, everyone's got competition. Everyone's got a market that they're in. Ryan and I aren't immune to that at all. But the fun work for me, honestly, is being unique. Like, it's, what did I say? There was a Seth Godin quote. Ryan, was it in our course or the last webinar? I said, being mediocre is exhausting. And you're not going to be able to beat the guy down the street if you're all kind of swimming up the middle of the road. Like, we had a lot of people in the last webinar kind of admit, like, well, I'm just kind of basing my prices on my competition, because maybe I'm just starting out, and I guess this is what the market will bear, so I'm just going to copy what they're doing. And it's like, oh, yeah, that'll be exhausting, and you'll end up kicking yourself and being frustrated, because you're not going to be telling the stories that you really want to tell.
Yeah. My favorite line from the webinar was when you had talked about on your business card, your first business card.
Oh yeah.
What did it say?
The name of my first business. Oh gosh.
It's okay.
I went to Kinko's. I got this little flimsy, paper thing, but I went on Photoshop, because I'm an expert in Photoshop. Got this lens. My logo was a lens with a little sun flare coming from it. Focused Life Video Productions, specializing in all your professional video needs, was my tagline.
There's a USP right there, buddy.
Yeah. And that was literally my attitude. That was my identity as a filmmaker, because I didn't have one. I just said, yeah, I'm a videographer. I can do anything. If you want me to shoot your birthday party, I can do it. Funeral, yeah, I got you. Legal videos, I'm your man. Like, but you quickly find out that there's a reason why you tell stories with a camera, whether you're a photographer or a filmmaker or even a graphic artist or a writer. I mean, all of us. Can you imagine if you treated your profession that way? Like, yeah, I'll write anything. I'll do some graphic design for anything. Yeah, I'll do a logo for the gas station down the street. And it's like, what? Like, we all have a drive in us, and I lost that at the beginning. Well, I didn't know I had it until I started figuring out why I wanted to tell stories. And then, of course, I lost that tagline. So
That's good. I mean, RIP to that tagline. That was quality.
it only lasted a couple months because a few months later, I met up with a photographer friend of mine and came up with the name Life Stage. I don't think I didn't. I'm not going to tell you that tagline. No.
The first one for Life Stage.
Yeah.
My first company that the first website I had was, I think it was this slideshowvideos.com. slideshowvideos.com. And our tagline was making memories into movies, baby. Minus the baby part. Is that it? Make a noise so it pops up on the screen.
Oh, tick, 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 tick. Can you see it?
Focus Light Video Productions, dude, that's epic. I showed you. Did I show you our website? The screen grabs of the yellow. I showed that to you last time you were up. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. I've saved all of my. I don't know why I just remember this, but yeah, I've saved all the versions of my business cards. They're in my desk next to it. It's a reminder as to where I've come from and where I'm going.
Humble beginnings, baby. That's really good. I think I just have graphic images of all of ours. So one of my favorite books is totally one of my favorites that I can't remember the name. Crap. It's all about knowing your why. Oh yeah, what's his name? Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek.
Can't help you, man. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that you've seen his TED Talk. He did a TED Talk, and it's all about knowing your why. And I think that's the thrust of this whole conversation. I think is that when you know the reason why you do what you do, then that, like you were saying earlier, that becomes your unique selling proposition. So when you're meeting somebody new and they're like, hey, what do you do? You don't say, oh, I have a video production company and we can meet all of your video production needs. Like that's just not unique, right? Because the video guy down the street is saying the same thing, right? And you want people to know like what makes you different from that guy, right? You guys have kind of the same gear and you kind of the same makeup of your studio and kind of the same layout of your website, or even if you have a totally different website or whatever, is that the thing that you want to be known by? And I think that we just trick ourselves we get into this mode of like, okay, I've started a business, so I need a website, I need some, business cards, and you want all your stuff to look cool and you want it to be relevant and all that stuff. But then we get tied up into believing or thinking that's the thing that makes us unique by having, really cool, thick business cards or letterpress business cards or whatever. And geez, oh Pete's, the kind of things that we're able to create, like in our specific line of work, these beautiful films and stories and all this stuff that I would hope that what makes us different or unique is a lot deeper than having a flashy website, not a flash based website, but a flashy website or really fancy cards. So I think that's kind of the challenge for us, is to be asking ourselves, like, what is it that why do I do this work, right? And so then when somebody asks you, what do you do? Instead of giving them the what, because the what is like capabilities and it's the features and benefits. That's the what. Like, what are you doing? Oh, we do wedding films, or we do corporate commercials or whatever. But if you can answer somebody with your why, I think that's gonna ring different in their ears. And if you're trying to differentiate yourself and you're trying to grow your business and trying to find people that are like-minded, then you really need to know your why, because when you can get somebody on board with your why, like that's your client, right? You don't want your client to be the person that says like, oh, you can do all of my video needs perfect because I've got, you know, this kind of video or this kind of, and it's just like, okay, that's not, you know, the thing that makes me unique is I love finding a story where there seems to be no story, or I love, you know, I do this because I'm passionate about people, and I believe that, you know, in all of us there is a story, and we want to bring this out. And I'm just kind of spitballing here, but when somebody says like, dude, like that's what we're looking for. We're looking for somebody that doesn't just run a video camera and, you know, everything's color balanced and whatever, but we want somebody that resonates with people or with widgets or with story, you know, whatever the thing may be.
You mean you both do, we both do high-end, separate brands, but high-end identity films, commercial work, and then also weddings. I still do, I shoot way more weddings than you do still, Ryan, because I think you're more focused and you've positioned yourself to be available more to the corporate stuff. Regardless of whether you're doing corporate or video work or wedding work, I kind of want to, I mean, just to kind of give some little insight into how I'm able to book. People are like, how do you get all these destination weddings, or how do you compete with the guys down the street, which is kind of what we're talking about today. And having a great website is fine and dandy, but having a helpful one is even better. And so think about the ways that as filmmakers we could tell our own story on our site. And we rarely do that because we're so busy working for other people that we don't take the time to actually show people why we're unique and why we're doing what we're doing. And so even on the phone, here's like a little nugget that I don't even care if my competition knows it, because I'd rather a rising tide, you know, a rising tide raises all ships. I'm talking to a bride the other day, and it's like, you know, they've never done this before. And so the reason that I'm different from the guy down the street is that I'll say, what is it that you love about our work? And she'll tell me. And I'll say, well, to be honest with you, we're not the best fit for everybody. And this is why, because we focus on these little moments that you're not going to ever see again. Whereas, and I'm not saying it, I'm not pointing fingers, but when you show people like, watch some work here, why don't you kind of see what resonates with you? Because we at Life Stage are not busy running around getting shots of candles on a table with a slider shot or like a flowers on the table. We leave that to the photographers, because there's so many little intimate moments going on with all these people that are never going to be together again. And that clicks with people. They're like, that's worth it. Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. We don't hang dresses on trees. We don't film for 20 minutes shoes on the steps, because why?
And I will say that I'm guilty of those things in the past, you know, hanging dresses. And
so am I.
Yeah.
But then I realized, like, what am I spending my time doing? Am I really passionate? Is this why I'm doing this, to hang a dress from a tree? Because that's really not what that dress was. It was in the closet. Like, and I say all this because it resonates. It applies to commercial work too. Whether we are so well equipped to be better filmmakers in the corporate world. If you started as a wedding filmmaker, and a lot of you guys haven't. We talked to photographers on our last webinar, people that have just strictly done corporate work. All that to say is being able to tell the story of a corporation and get them teary-eyed when they watch a film makes it human. And that's, I think a lot of people rely too much on their gear and they get these fancy shots, but there is no why. There is no reason for it. There's no purpose for it. But I'm grateful. All that to say, my little soapbox here is I'm just grateful for the reason why I love holding a camera, because I have to tell myself it's easy to get burned out. I mean, and I've been there before, but I got myself out of it because I realized my job is to like film happy moments, like people that are laughing and hugging and crying. And I get to go to a party and do this. And the same thing applies to when I go out to Texas or Alabama or Florida and film for a multi-million-dollar company. I still get to film. That's because that's what I want to do. Like we film little moments that are happening in this building. They don't want us to film the building. They don't want us to film a sales pitch. They want us to film the identity of their films. And that's what we focus on. I was telling people in the last webinar, like I I don't do, if it's fine with you, that's great. But I don't film local car commercials or TV commercials or dentist commercials because it just doesn't get me. It doesn't. I would be terrible at it because I wouldn't connect with it. And so we find the clients that resonate with the work that we show them. And it's a great thing when you know why you're doing what you're doing, because you're going to attract those clients, right?
Yeah. I would say along those same lines that for us, one of the things that makes us unique is that, like, I love, we might shoot a lawyer, some, videos for a lawyer or a doctor, whatever. And the videos are just kind of like, oh gosh, like give me poke my eyeball out. But one of the things that I get so excited about is making a relationship with the people that we're working with. Right. And so the topic, the thing that we might be filming may not be the most exciting, but I just love people, and I love kind of challenging our thinking on, like, well, how can we approach this, and like, what do we need to do? And maybe they've done 100 videos in the past, but I just love to show professionalism and interest in them as people, and in ultimately in the mission of what it is that they're trying to do. And so for us, that's one of the things that does make us unique, is that we're after like the broader story and a broader connection. And sometimes that gets us business, and sometimes it doesn't. A lot of times people just don't care about that. But for the people that do, for the people that does matter, the work becomes more meaningful, right? We're not just spitting out a little film for a lawyer to get more clients and make tons more money, but really that we're having an impact on somebody in a way that people might not think that their video production company could have. So that's one of the things that I love about doing what I get to do.
I mean, I totally agree with you. There's a law firm film on my site, and the reason it's on there, so I don't want to backpedal here. I mean, of course I film that stuff, but we film it in a way that tells a story, not just if you've been injured in it's not what we do. We're telling more of a hopeful story. There's a divorce law firm on our site. The reason it's on there is because we want to tell more stories like that, because we turned it into such an awful negative thing as divorce. Their film, based on the way we interviewed, based on the connections that we had in the story we knew we wanted to tell. Like when you watch the film, it's hopeful. It's not and that's what we want it to be, because we want to get these people through this awful time of their life. But the client that we had wanted to have a connection with these people too, not just a sales pitch. And that's fun. Like that is really fun. So we want to find more stories like that. And because that's, to be able to do that during a weekday and then get to film parties on the weekend or vice versa. And, it's just, we're pretty blessed to get what we, to get to do what we do. But if you don't know why you're doing it, it's kind of stressful.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and you mentioned it earlier, like making your brand human, intangible, for the world, I think is one of the things that can make us unique. And we talked about this again in our webinar, but if you don't have a picture of you or your team on your website, you need to put something on there, because people need to, they'll trust you more. And your brand is you, right? So you might as well just own that and not try to be somebody or something that you're not. And I think that's ultimately like the core of like what we're trying to get as your USP. It's like it's you. If you're the commander of your ship,
Captain?
If you're the chief captain, if you're the commander of your starship, right? That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Then you set the culture. You create that culture. You create the brand, and so ultimately the brand is like your heart behind what you do. So I think the challenge for all of us is to dedicate some time to really dig in and figure out like what I love. Cameras and gear and getting beautiful shots, but like go one step deeper than that, or maybe two steps deeper, and just ask yourself, well, why do I do why do I do this? And I think you can kind of put some pieces together and say like, okay, I don't just do it because I want to have cool cameras. What is it about cool cameras that I really like? Or what is it about a beautiful shot how does that speak to me? Or when I get a beautiful shot, like what does that do for me? And then, you know, if you say like, man, when I get a beautiful shot, I just feel like I've contributed to the goodness of the world. So when somebody asks you like, oh, hey, like, why should I hire you? It's like, man, like when we partner with somebody that allows us to get the kind of shots that we want, it makes us feel like we're creating something that can benefit the world. Right. That's much different than saying, and you know, whatever, it might sound like fluffy or whatever, but there's probably, you in your own way, the way, however your brand exists, there probably is a way to position that. That's not just, we can do all your video needs, right? That's what, and we can do it for cheaper than the guy down the street because we really want to. I mean, that's like, I'm not gonna hire that guy.
Yeah, that was inspiring. That was good. Yeah, I mean, think about it. Yeah, whenever I see a good shot or like a film comes together, I'm like, it's living and breathing now. Like, this is great. Like being able to show this and share it. I'm glad that we're creatives, you know, like I'm glad that I'm not meant for, I don't know if there's any accountants or CPAs on this webinar session right now. I apologize, but like, I'm just glad I'm not built that way. I'm glad that I have a drive that's like to create and to constantly be thinking about stuff like that. I love that gift that all of us have been given.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I would like to say that our time here is done. There's no more questions here, so I think we did our job. It was a fun experiment.
Fun, yeah. And yeah, we'll do lots more of these. And
so in case you don't know, whoever's watching, you can find us at studiosherpas.com. That's studiosherpas.com. And yeah, we'd love to engage in further discussions like this. And the email blast that we sent out, we kind of asked like, hey, are there any other topics that we could cover that would be helpful? And in the future, we'd love more sort of banter back and forth and more Q&A style. But I think this was good. We just kind of wanted to dip our toe in the water and see what it was like. And I think it's fun. It's fun hanging out, Matt.
Yeah, man, I always enjoy hanging out with you.
So
yeah.
Got anything else?
No, I don't. I am
okay, cool.
I'm gonna go get out in the sun.
Go get it, man. Have a great weekend, guys. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you around.
Bye.